Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at S Class Jobe, and visually, as you can see, well. One thing I will say about this character is that when he is tier 1 he has a hat as an S class, and as he tiers up his hat gets removed, which is very different than what I'm used to. Normally I'm used to hats and bags being added, so I do like this, but his hairstyle is next level. Wow. I mean, visually he looks pretty cool though. He's kind of different, kind of reminds me of like the Eugene get-up in terms of what he's wearing clothing wise, but we have not seen a Barnet like that. There's no haircut like that in the game at the moment, so very different. We can see visually what he looks like front on his avatar on the left hand side. He is wearing the hat in this situation, and that is greatly appreciated. And with 30 veteran rings, he has got 4,457 attack, 3,641 defense, and 4,301 HP. He is considered a damage dealer. His damage is not super high, but I guess it depends on how the rest of his kit plays. But there are a lot of S-Class characters that are just kind of considered damage dealers just because they're S-Class characters. However, when we do look at his rush, it is called Brutal Salvo. It has a recharge rate of 66 AP, which is obviously very fast. Or at least it says fast, but this is basically as fast as you're going to get in the S-Class era. There have been some 58 AP characters, I believe, in the 6-star era, but I don't think we've had one in the S-Class era just yet. Deal 4 attacks of 200% damage, which is 800% total to one enemy. Impair up to 3 enemies for 2 turns. Remove heal over time from those enemies. So 3 things going on here. Obviously the first part, quite a nice bit of damage, 800%. It's only a little bit reduced on Priya's damage. Priya is 875, I believe, whereas this guy is obviously 800% total. The impair to up to 3 enemies is interesting. You know, 2-turn impair, a bit of control here, doing quite hefty damage and bringing control to the table is quite nice. But the heal over time being removed, I guess that can be an issue against certain teams. Like, if Frost does pop his heal over time, it is absolutely devastating because 150% total, 30% a turn. It can be very hard, because especially because a lot of the teams that Frost is in, they all have massive HP, like 8 to 12k a lot of the time. So that 30% is a lot of HP healed. So that's actually kind of nice little bonus. I don't think that's anything spectacular. It's only going to work in certain situations. I wouldn't really hold it for that. But I mainly see him as a damage dealing rush that does a bit of control, and then the second cleanse thing, like enemy cleanse, is not really going to be that big a deal, but it could be useful in certain situations. Okay, so we are going to hit this attack up. In his hands right now is a rampage weapon, because I know a lot of you want to know what kind of, does it work with the rampage weapon? Of course it's going to work. Of course it's going to work. He's only got a crit mod and one 1535 weapon, as Marcus is using a 1535 weapon. We will get the rampages to actually occur, but what we're going to do is we're going to command him on the next turn. You can see how much AP he got there. He got 46 AP on one basic attack. Obviously he got the 8% from Rick, but he's only 20 AP off of a first turn rush, and I think this guy is going to be someone who you could potentially get those first turn rushes with a 20% to self weapon and some other 8% weapons in. That could be pretty useful. But we're going to just do the rampage attacks now. I don't expect this to be too over the top. He isn't fully modded. He is pretty low key at the moment, but he has a reasonable amount of attack. We'll just attack the middle character. We're going to get lots of rampage attacks to come off. 3, 4. Now, if you expect the damage to be really that high right now, you're expecting wrong. What is kind of interesting is that he actually resisted impair. I do have actually got impair resist on this Pete for some reason, but it would have taken down the extra 2 characters, and all 3 of these characters would have been impaired otherwise. So the potential of Jobe's rush is interesting. Priya and him are going to do around the same amount of damage, but I kind of see this guy as someone who's going to finish people off more with his rush rather than take them out. I think Priya's damage is obviously much higher on those hits, so the rampage hits are going to be much higher. When the multipliers come in with the huge amounts of damage, the fact that she can be a central character, she's obviously going to be doing much more damage. Whereas this guy can be someone who just, like, he takes out people after doing Priya's rush, for instance, because he's going to be able to take down anyone who's weakened. He's going to be able to get off more hits. Let's say there's 4 characters alive, and even if he doesn't have a rampage weapon, he's going to be able to deal those 4 attacks. Simply put, he's just going to be able to deal those 4 attacks, and he's going to be able to take out 4 low HP characters. 200% isn't huge as an individual hit, but Priya's is only 275. It really isn't that much of a difference. I think actually Priya's total damage is 825% damage, not 875%. So I don't think it's even that big a difference overall. But in the individual hits, and like I said, just because Priya can be a leader, you are going to notice quite a big difference. The impair on top though was pretty nice. Just having control on characters that survive is definitely a bonus. And this is where we move across his active skill, and this is where things change quite a bit. He goes from this character that, I don't know, it's kind of strange. It's kind of strange how this character's, setting himself up so far. Burn and AP gain, initial cooldown turn 1. So this is a turn 1 active. It has a cooldown of 3 turns, number of uses 5. Deal 4,000 burn damage for 3 turns to 1 enemy. This character gains 50% AP, which obviously would be 33 because he is a 66 AP character. So 4,000 burn damage for 3 turns is 12,000 damage, obviously. That is a lot of damage. Like, no questions asked, that is a lot of damage. And honestly, if I could see this guy being a bit more defensive, geared, in terms of he had a bit more defensive stats with that active, I would much prefer to use that active on a defense team. Just because having 4,000 burn damage to someone who's attacking is brutal. A lot of people do not mod defensively, don't mod towards HP. I do on one of my characters, and I think it's Priya, and she barely gets over 4k. So that would be absolutely devastating against attack teams. Against defense teams, it still would be pretty good. Obviously, it actually has to hit. You can resist this if they have burn resist for some reason, but if against someone like the trader, you've got a built-in resists. Okay, so we will go again. We know that the gentleman here doesn't have very high HP. He's got 4,225. So we're going to do the active against him, and we're going to try and do a bit of damage. Now, he should die now. He should die. There we go. We're just going to attack somebody else, and he will be taken out. And what's the benefit of burn is, once someone gets taken out by it, the burn passes to someone else, and it still lasts for the same amount of turns. So the one of the 3 turns took out the gentleman. The next 2 turns will be on this Pete, and this Pete only has 8.9k HP himself. Now, if I was to manage to control some of these characters, then Pete would obviously get taken out by that. So burn is, I see it as like a nice little thing on top that works extremely well. And the fact that it can be passed around like this, just upon takedowns, is obviously a massive bonus. Now, as I also said, on a defense team, we're just going to use exactly the same team again. I'm going to just defend on Priya, and he'll use his active straight away, and she is burning. And it doesn't matter what I do here, I'm instantly going to just lose, because 4,000 damage is instantly going to take me out. And you can see that in the extra damage, 4k. And that's how it works. Like, I think on a defense team, this guy could be brutal. On an attack team, I see the burn more as just a bonus. So obviously a very, very powerful active skill in the amount of damage you can do. Turn 1 makes it obviously even more effective. But it does get better because he is doing burn damage. His specialist skill, which is going to be Firestarter, becomes better, of course, on top of this. Whenever this character attacks a character suffering from burning, an adjacent target will be affected with a copy of that burning effect. That means that on turn 2, when he's just trying to gain his natural AP, because the first turn he does it, his active 50% AP. Turn 2, he will attack the person he did burn, and that'll be 2 characters with a 4k burn on them. On a defense team, attack team, it doesn't really matter what you're coming up against at that point. It is going to be so powerful, and I can see that combo being great. And this is why I think maybe the defense side of him is a shame that it's a little bit too high on the attack. I think this guy would have been great on a defense team. I could see him being used in a mixed mash team, like behind an Aaron leader with Mr. Lee and Jobe here. 2 first turn actives. You've got to control both of them, or one of them at least. And one's got a bleed to all for 1.5k, one's got a burnt. It's just, that's nasty to have to deal with. And what is added onto that is the fact that it's not percentage damage, so there's no sort of risk of things like bide or, you know, payback cheese or anything like that. So I can see teams being built on defense that do that sort of damage, and like just throw a trader in there or something as well. And you just got such different types of, you know, effect damage basically, and effect takedowns that, you know, it's going to be very hard to counter that. Very, very hard to counter that. You're going to basically have to be relying on trader resists a lot of the time, because no one's really going to build resists against the likes of burn and bleed, and then obviously there's infection on top as well. So yep, the potential of the combos that Jobe can bring to the table on defense teams is very interesting, but you can also take down heavily defensive teams on attack because it bypasses bonus HP. Tough characters can get the bonus HP weapons, and burn will just melt through it. 4k getting spread around, lovely jubbly. So just to give you the full process, we can do the active turn 1, just gain AP on other characters elsewhere, and then we can obviously attack the burn again. Oh, it spreads it to 2 because of a double attack. It actually spreads it to 2 if you hit a double attack. Let's see if it does. If this does it again. Oh my god, it did. It went to Axel. It actually went to Axel. That's nuts. I think maybe it went to Axel because of him being taken down, maybe. Maybe. Okay. Okay, but still, the amount... Look at that. Look at that. The amount of burn damage that you can get spread around. That if you hit... Is it if you hit a double attack? Let me see if it's if he hits a double attack, or if it was just because he did a basic attack. Okay, so we have got a defensive weapon in his hands now. We're going to just do the burn again. And we're going to see if we can spread it multiple times with non-double attack. And it only spreads once when you do it without a double attack. Now, what happens when I do the rush? Hopefully it doesn't do too much damage here. Hopefully it doesn't do too much damage. 1, 2, 3, 4. He just spread burn to everybody. He just spread it to every single character because of the multi-hits. I'm going to try and take this guy out. Okay, I'm going to get rushed a little bit. I'm going to get rushed a little bit. Hopefully I can tank the damage. It's going to be quite heavy damage because it's going to be gentleman. Okay, we'll tank quite a bit of it. But we should see loads of burn damage right now. Yeah. I mean, I'll just defend. Boy, that is fun. That is fun. Look at the bonus damage, 36,000. That was actually pretty fun. I think making this guy defensive would be the way to go. Not offensive. Definitely making this guy defensive would be the way to go. Because, I mean, unless you can really make sure his rampage damage is high. I mean, this guy is actually pretty fun. Not gonna lie, guys. This guy is actually pretty fun. So yeah, like I say, he is very fun, guys. Very fun. Very interesting. Because when I first saw this guy's kit, I was kind of like, well, it doesn't look like it fully works together. Obviously, I think there could have been a better balance in his stats in terms of how I would want to build him. But I can understand in giving him a bit of attack just in case you do want to go offensive with his rush rather than utilizing the burn spread. Which I think if you've got this character, you'd want to utilize the burn spread. If you wanted damage output with, you know, Rampage, just could get a second prayer. But Jobe is definitely going to be someone in here who can just make defensive. And this isn't all he's going to bring to the table as well. He has got an attached weapon, and it is called Jobe's Violent Assault Rifle. It has got a 30% attack base, a medium bonus to AP when attacking, upgrade slot obviously, AP on attack here if you want. The last slot is when attacking, a better chance to gain focus and 25% max HP for 2 turns. I don't like this third slot too much. I think it is obviously beneficial in terms of the fact that he could start attacking behind shields, but I don't think shields are going to be as much of a problem because we have got quite a few focus active characters that are rolling around right now, like Erin, Ivanova, now Kenny. Different traits pretty much, and very powerful characters, especially Kenny with the recent release of the anniversary event. So Yeah, I think that would definitely be a swap out. I think the fact that double attack works with that burn, it's just, that seems like a kind of no-brainer to me. And the fact that it works with his rush as well, I would definitely be going for double attack on this character. Now, whether I made it a defensive double attack weapon, which would be really, really weird, I might just go with an offensive, you know, double attack weapon Rampage and make him defensive in his, you know, mods. Because he doesn't need damage if you want to utilize the burn. And like I said, if you want to utilize the burn, or if you don't want to utilize the burn and you want to utilize the damage, a second prayer would probably be the better way to go. So this character is interesting. He just from testing him out a little bit, he was actually quite a little bit of fun. I do like special effects and stuff like that. And I have always thought that burn was kind of underpowered. And with the changes that they made to it, it is obviously very effective. There were characters that obviously were already very powerful with it. For instance, Rhodey as a 6-star, she always had the thing where when you did an attack, you spread it instantly, and that was very interesting. Rhodey was very interesting to me because of that. But they made it so that basically when you do multi-hit rushes and stuff, you can spread the burn on a multi-hit rush. And they definitely made that change because Jobe was coming up. The only other character that I really remember being able to utilize that for would have been someone like Naya in the 5-star era. So, or she a 6? No, she was a 6-star as well. So yeah, so there weren't too many characters who could utilize it, but definitely Jobe can, and you could sort of see the power that can bring. And like I said, I can see that as just being added damage on top. You know, it's not going to be like, you know, the main source of damage against these defensive attack teams. But if you had a Priya on top of that, you know, attack team that I was using before, Priya's just melting them down a little bit. He's going to have the 4K burn everywhere. Yeah, they're not going to last very long. And like I said, a lot of fun, guys. This guy's a lot of fun. Is he a game changer? I don't know. I don't think so. Not in, you know, unless you have this very spectacular team. I think he's going to be more of a problem, like a game-changing character on a defense team than he will be on attack. Like I said, I think Mr. Lee and this guy in a combination with the bleed burn first turn, you're going to be, you know, someone on your team's going to be taking 5.5k damage after the first turn, and the rest of your team's going to be taking 1.5k damage. You know, you could have 2 Mr. Lees in that situation as well. It's just brutal damage over time effects, and they're turn 1 actives as well. Don't have that many characters who can do turn 1 days. It's just pretty much as simple as that. But that is Jobe, guys. Very interesting, much more enjoyable and interesting than I actually assumed he would be looking at his base kit, but it was a lot of fun to play with. Do tell me your thoughts on this character. What about that haircut though? Thank you very much for tuning into my video, guys, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.